Today's show being brought to you by Midwest Vehicle Group, a quality pre-owned auto dealership in Michigan Center. Trusted source for cars, trucks, SUVs. Midwest has a perfect 5-star rating on Facebook, and that's because of their customer-first approach, making the car buying experience a unique blend of honesty and integrity. Visit the inventory online or in person on Page Avenue. And remember, when a great deal is must, call the car guy you can trust. Great food today from the Dirty Bird, one of our great downtown neighbors. A variety of salads, flatbreads, sandwiches, and chicken. Curly fries. Their awesome cheese and tortilla dip. And
Sorry about that, Brandon.
a hotline. Someone's calling. The curly fries are my number 2 after the tater tots. Everything's great. The patio's open downtown, and now they're open Sundays in downtown Jackson. Thanks, Dirty Bird. And great coffee today from the Jackson Coffee Company, featuring live entertainment Friday nights from 6:30 till 9 o'clock. Also, you can grab lunch at Jackson Coffee Company. They've got wraps, sandwiches, and salads from Grand River Brewery. This weekend, join us on JTV as our summer events series continues. We've got the Jackson Community Concert Band and their summer concert, which, well, it was too hot for the patio. They moved it into the music hall, but a great concert by some very talented musicians this weekend. 1 and 7, Saturday and Sunday, presented by Summit Heights Dental Care. Summer events on JTV. Our first guest on today's show is our state senator and Senate Majority Leader, Mike Shirkey. Hi, Mike.
Bart, good to see you again. Been a while, seems like, hasn't it?
I know. Your last appearance, you had to move.
Yeah.
And red, white, and blue fireworks on your shirt. Happy 4th
I thought
of
I'd
July.
continue the 4th of July theme for at least one more day.
You had something in common with me on the holiday weekend. You had a wedding. I had a wedding to go to, and you just, but it was your family that had the wedding.
Indeed. Yep. It was our family. Our oldest grandson. It's him in that picture in the back to the right, and Sue and I dancing. That particular dance, they asked all 4 sets of grandparents, and they were all there, and both sets of parents, and they represented in total about 247 years of marriage.
Wow.
There for that wonderful celebration. It was a great day.
Were you dancing to "We Are Family" by Sister Sledge?
Some of the songs I was dancing to, I don't even know, some of the kids.
Kids these days.
Yeah.
What's your wedding? If the band plays a certain, what is it? If you and Sue get up, you got to get up.
So I actually request the song from Anne Marie, "Can I Have This Dance for the Rest of My Life?"
Oh, that's a good one.
That's our song, and we do that every chance we get. So that was what they were playing on that photo right there.
It's a perfect song. Well,
Yep.
Congratulations. What's his name?
His name is Carter.
Carter.
And Grace.
Carter just graduated from Spring Arbor
He
University.
did. Yeah. He was a pretty active fellow out there, and he just graduated. Now he's working at Orbit for him.
Oh, big surprise.
Yeah. Right.
And you had hosted a 4th of July family party.
Well, we had
too.
all kinds of family in for the weekend and for the wedding, and so we thought might as well have a 4th of July party at our place. And so we had about 30 people there on Monday. The best part about that, we do karaoke at night, after it gets a little dark, so nobody can see anybody. No, that's not true. But anyway, we started it early, turned the monitor around so that everybody could see the monitor, and for a better part of an hour, we sang patriotic songs. And I was watching the kids, and they were watching us adults singing, and I think that is so important for kids to see their moms and dads and aunts and uncles. I can't sing patriotic songs without getting teared up anyway. I just can't do it. So
I was just going to ask you to do one, but I guess we won't.
No, please don't, because I'll get teared up.
You had a late night last, I think, Thursday night. You stayed up till well past 2:30.
I got home at 4:05.
Wow.
4:05.
The budget. You were committed to get that done by July 1st. You almost made it. But the big news, really, and if anybody's trying to find out anything about the budget, all you're going to find out about is the education budget. There's very little information that's been released about what you guys allocated money for, except in the field of education.
Well, the field of education has the biggest and most active lobbying entities, and so that stands to reason that they'd be the ones the most interested. Of course, it's a big part of our education, public education system. And by the way, the budget in its totality, I think, is just shy of 1,700 pages. So it takes a while to put that together. It takes a while to sort it out and put it into pieces that people can understand. But there were some highlights of this one. Another record year of funding for schools, which is good. Another record year of funding for mental health. A big number put into unfunded liabilities, retirement programs for public employees. And that's like a long-term, permanent, perpetual tax cut.
State employees?
State and education people,
Okay.
yeah. And that's like a long-term tax cut because we're reducing the burden on taxpayers to fund those obligations. And that was well over $1 billion. We now also have in our rainy day fund, we call it our budget stabilization fund, a little over 5% of our historical annual operating budget, which is another milestone for us. So it was a fully negotiated budget, so that means that the House, the Senate, and the governor's office were all engaged and involved through the entire process. One of the reasons why it takes so long is because you're negotiating, with lots of different entities and lots of different purposes. So the expectation is the governor, I don't think she signed it yet, but the expectation is that she'll sign it as it was presented.
Well, about an hour ago, she released a press release touting the bipartisan education budget, but no, she has not signed it yet.
Right. Yeah, she's got 14 days, but I think it'll probably happen this week.
$9,150 per pupil funding, but something new. I think it's new. $200+ per pupil mental health and school safety funding. Is this a response to COVID or school shootings or both?
C, all of the above. And we tried to not define it too much and allow schools to have a lot of flexibility in how to deploy that money. My expectation is some will do it very well, some maybe not, and we'll learn by the collective actions and share best practices. So I think it was an important part of this budget.
You also did something unique in that you made a commitment to recruit teachers and offer a financial incentive.
Yep, and the details of that is yet to be determined. There was a fund created for that, and the details of that are being worked on right now.
The community colleges and universities also get big increases.
Not as big as they'd like, but they did get increases.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think a 5% increase overall for community colleges.
Right.
But when you look at the per college budget, everyone gets something different. 16% here, 11% there, 3% there. How does that?
Well, fair doesn't always mean equal, and you have to consider the circumstances, the students that they're servicing, the geographic locations, other challenges, and I think it's been a good move for us to evaluate unique situations and not just try to apply a one-size-fits-all model, financing model.
A lot of federal COVID money being spent in the budget too.
Right.
So when you look at the community that you represent, are there earmarks for any institutions or projects in the greater Jackson area in the state budget?
No, there may be a couple. I'm a little reluctant to talk about them too much because I'd like to see the budget signed. I don't want to jinx anything.
Jinx, yeah.
So, but there'll be a couple of entities that you know very well that should be pretty happy, and are important parts of our community. I'm going to leave it at that because, like I said, I don't want to jinx anything until it's signed, sealed, and delivered.
Stay tuned. This year you've made a point of shepherding mental health reform through the Senate, but it seems like it stalled. What's the status of that?
It's not stalled. We finally, just in the last 4 weeks, have resolved most of the differences between what the House had in mind for mental health reform and Senate. And that will be the one topic that I will continue, even though we are not in session. I'll be continuing to spend a lot of time on throughout the rest of the summer. I still expect to get it and present it to the governor before the end of the year. And I also expect there to be another supplemental on top of the budget that is heavily mental health oriented. We have a really serious problem with mental health and the services, the dearth of services, the kinds of services, the availability of services, the availability of beds. All of those things have been underfunded for a number of years. And so it's a great opportunity for us to spend some of the one-time money, although some of it will be ongoing as well, because I think it's arguably our number one problem.
That spending and that supplemental that will be forthcoming, having your mental health legislation tie-barred to mental health spending, does that increase the chances your legislation gets?
It may have a bit of an influence on support, of course, because people will have specific spending priorities they'd like to see for their districts. But I don't want to leave the impression that it's a done deal yet. I fully understand that this is a challenge to the deeply rooted community mental health services that communities are used to getting based on a county basis across the state. I still maintain, and you and I have talked about this before, that those that are delivering good services will be in higher demand and elevated, and those that aren't will have an opportunity to correct themselves. We happen to have a pretty darn good one in Jackson area through Lifeways.
The former president's lawyer, Pat Cipollone, has just agreed to honor his subpoena and appear before the January 6th committee in Congress. And I think he's scheduled to testify tomorrow.
Is that right?
You, Mike Shirkey, have been subpoenaed by this committee.
I was.
And are you intending to testify?
I already have. They came to Lansing for me. I've done it twice, actually. One without a subpoena, and the second one most recently with a subpoena, talking about, it was very specific. They FOIA'd President Trump's phone records and found, and you and I have talked about this, it's not a surprise, there were 4 calls that he made to me during that time period between the election and the certification. So they wanted to know all the infinite details of those calls, and spent more hours than I care to talk about being cross-examined on those. There's really no surprises. I mean, I told them everything I knew.
We're hearing some of this testimony shows a man that was furious with everything that was preventing him from a second term. Did you witness any of those outbursts, like the lunch plate throwing or the expletives or any of that?
No. He was a perfect gentleman in our trip to the Oval Office and on the four different phone calls that I got. He was the perfect gentleman. On the third call, he talked to my wife for longer than he talked to me. No, I didn't witness or observe any of those examples, but like you, I've heard about them.
Was there any pressure in his conversations?
No, in fact, that's what the commission wanted to find out, is if he was putting pressure on us to do something unique or outlandish, like not certify or not send the electors. He was very well coached. He never really asked for anything. He just wanted to know, what do we know, and talked about the importance of election integrity, but he never actually asked for any action. So,
Did any of his advisors, like Giuliani or Cipollone or any of those others, were they part of the meeting when you were in Washington?
when I was in the Oval Office, Giuliani was on the phone for quite an extended period of time on a conference call while we were sitting there, probably 15 minutes, 15, 16 minutes. And then but what he said to us during that time, you and I have seen on TV 15 times, you know, because it was just the same, I call it filibustering, you know. So, and I interrupted him. I asked him, so when are you going to, file a lawsuit in Michigan? And there's a moment of pause, and then he just kept on going, and he didn't even acknowledge the question. So,
And I think some of those testifying were asked, I think by the committee, did he even think he really won, or was it just part of his game?
yeah, only time will tell us there.
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know.
It sounds like he thought he won. It sounds like he knew he didn't win, depending on who you
Right.
listen to.
Right.
All right. The other thing, of course, the tragedy in Illinois at the 4th of July parade shooting. Earlier this year, you said you'd be open to giving a hearing on extreme risk protection orders, aka red flag legislation, but that's not seen the light of day yet, will it?
No, it will. We will have a hearing, but I will point out that Illinois has some of this nation's strictest quote-unquote red flag laws, all of which were in full place and still didn't affect. See, the point is that these are the kinds of things that indicate to me our biggest problem is the foundation of our nation, and it's not because we don't have enough laws for guns. This kid, I understand, he passed 4 background checks. And his parents were on the last purchase. I understand they were part of that process. So, there were. Let's just put it this way: there were plenty of red flags that were ignored.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the police even said we took the guy's knives away. Wouldn't that be something that would?
I didn't see that. Hadn't read that.
Yeah, they took his knives away. One of the 2 interactions that the Highland Park Police had with that person. That was reported this week. So,
But you and I both know there's evil in this world, and there's no amount of laws that's going to be able to eliminate the evil that we have.
before the show, we were talking about the lack of understanding, general lack of understanding on basic history in our country. Do you think the Second Amendment? Do you think the public fully understands and really what the Second Amendment called for when they are making the argument that we have the right to have our guns?
Do I think the public understands that?
Do you? Yeah.
Do I think the public understands it.
Do you think the public thinks that the public can have any gun that they want, period?
No, that's not the case. There are plenty of guns that are not made available to the public. You and I might disagree on some of them that are made available, shouldn't be. But I'm full-throated supporter of that notion, because we've also seen plenty of evidence in the last 2 years where government's overreach has seen, to me, very disturbing levels. And so,
With guns?
no, not with guns, but with control and with orders and with lockdowns and things that now we know have proven to not work, other than they've worked very well to exacerbate our mental health problems. And that continues to plague us.
Last week, the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade. It puts Michigan in a situation that we have a law in the books that is right now not being enforced from 1931, and it sounds like the governor wants to have something legislatively that is going to allow abortion be legal in the state of Michigan, what's the legislature, Republican-led legislature, going to do about that?
Well, it's a bigger mess than that. We've got a circuit court judge or court of appeals judge who has put a stay on the actual implementation of the law. And so we're in basically never never land right now. We have the most unambiguous abortion law in the nation. I happen to think it's pretty clear what it means. It doesn't make abortions illegal, it just defines what they're legal for. You know. And then we're facing what I could consider to be the biggest challenge we're going to have in this election cycle. It's not the race for governor. It's not the race for the Senate. It's not the race for the House in Michigan. It is the so-called reproductive rights petition that would put it enshrined into our Constitution 400 very dangerous words that would be almost impossible to change if that gets on the ballot and is voted on by the public. I believe we'll know within the next 2 weeks whether they're eligible to get on the ballot, and then I think that is going to be the most important issue in the November election. It allows for just about anything you can imagine to be legal.
That, and people have perhaps witnessed those the petitions being circulated.
Yeah,
They have a deadline that's coming up quick.
it is. Yep, but I've been told that they're well over their required numbers. Now it's a matter of going through the audit process to see if they're eligible, see if they're valid or not.
You were one of the first prominent